Hello, here's another thought, another essay for these COVID times. And this is paraphrased by me from the book The Captain and the Sailor by Alessandro Frezza. Captain, the crew is worried and very restless due to the quarantine that the harbor has imposed. Can you talk to us? What's bothering you, boy? Don't you have enough food? Don't you sleep enough? It's not that, Captain. It's just that I can't stand being unable to go ashore, unable to embrace my loved ones. What if they let you off the ship and you were contagious? Would you bear the guilt of infecting someone who can't resist the disease? Oh, I will never forgive myself, even if this plague was invented for me. It may be, but what if it wasn't invented? I understand what you mean, but I feel deprived of my freedom, Captain. I feel deprived of something. And you deprive yourself of even more things, boy. Are you making fun of me? Not at all. If you let yourself be deprived of something without answering adequately, you will have lost. So, you mean if they take something from me, I must deprive myself of other things in order to win? Exactly. I did it myself when I was quarantined 7 years ago. And what were you deprived of? I had to wait more than 20 days on the ship. I had been waiting for months to enjoy the port and springtime on land. There was an epidemic. In Porto Abreu, they forbade us to go down. First few days were hard. I felt like you. Then I started to respond to those impositions. I knew that after 21 days, a behavior turns into a habit. Instead of complaining and creating terrible habits, I started to behave differently from all others. I began to reflect on how, in deprivation, I could gain the right perspective. I started with food. I forced myself to eat half as much as I normally ate. Then I started to select food that was easier to digest, so I would not overload my body. I nurtured myself with food that, by historical tradition, contributed to one's health. The next step was to combine this with purification and unhealthy thoughts, to aim for higher and nobler ones. I forced myself to read at least one page every day of a topic I didn't know. I forced myself to exercise on the bridge at dawn. An old Indian man told me years before that the body was strengthened by holding its breath. I forced myself to take deep breaths every morning. I believe my lungs never reached such capacity and strength before. The evening was a time for prayers, a time to thank some entity that rules everything for sparing me of serious deprivations all my life. The Indian also had advised me to get into the habit of imagining light coming into me and making me stronger. This could also work for loved ones who were distant, and thus I integrated this practice into my daily routine on the ship. Instead of thinking of everything I couldn't do, I thought about all that I would do once I was on land. I embraced each day, lived them intensely, and enjoyed the wait. Everything you can get right away is never interesting. Waiting serves this sublime desire and make it more powerful. I deprive myself of succulent foods, of bottles of rum and other delights. I deprive myself of playing cards, of sleeping excessively, of lazing around, of thinking about the things of being deprived of. How did it end, Captain? I acquired all those new habits, boy. They let me get off the ship after much longer than I expected. Did they deprive you of springtime as well? Yes. That year I was deprived of spring and of many more things, but I flourished nonetheless. I brought springtime inside, and from now on, no one can ever take it from me. There is little we can do to shape our surroundings. We have a choice in the way our surroundings shape us. We have been restricted to our homes, deprived of activities, events, visits, gatherings, and an assortment of other things we associate with normalcy. Still, this is an opportunity to develop inner disciplines to enrich us. We can mine the wealth of simplicity of a present moment uncluttered of endless activities and of many joys we had postponed because of our busyness. Here's my list. I have played more table game with my kids and keeping a losing streak at the moment. I have tried a strange new recipe. I grilled sweet bread for the first time. That's calthymus for the uninitiated. Yes, you read it right, calthymus. Kids loved it. Tastes a lot like chicken. I also cooked tongue. I have been reading and writing more. I have called friends I have not talked to in a while. My daughters and I went sledding for the first time. We have been having home Bible reading and prayer since we cannot attend church. And funny how the most interesting theological questions pop up in discussion with young minds. We are learning to laugh more. My teenagers dyed their hair blonde. And after a week or so, my son Caleb dyed his hair red. Later on, Sage shaved her head. Desperate times require desperate measures. In small ways, we are aiming to keep the springtime in our hearts, even though the world seems gloomy these days. There is an old Indian proverb, behind every cloud there are 1,000 suns. To see them, we need eyes of faith and hope. Stay safe.